Connections. Are you still running?
Take me on a tour.
Take you on a tour.
I know, I just saw a great picture.
Where do we start?
Is this thing running?
Yeah.
Like a video?
Yeah. High definition. It'll be on YouTube tonight.
No!
Yeah, but only to you. Do you have access to a computer?
No, you know
Do
me.
you have access to a computer?
I think maybe if I sell enough things this summer, I'll buy a computer.
You don't have one right now?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
All right.
You're gonna scare me though.
Yeah.
You already have.
Yeah. Where do we start?
Well, good question, because I haven't really practiced my elevator speech. But these saddles collected me over 20 years, between 1980 and 20 years thereafter, and I collected them one at a time. And around the sixth one or seventh one, I started to figure out why I was collecting them and where they were going, and why they were important, what relationship they had, and they started telling a story. And the story is the evolution of the saddle from the south to the north, from Mexico, northern Mexico, to the southwest. This is a regional collection: Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, southern Colorado. The area roughly known as New Spain, at the turn of the century or before. And that would be, I guess, 1848 was known as New Spain. But they represent different saddle types and different evolutionary designs and personal imprints. I collected saddles that looked like they were ridden. They were put away right after they were ridden, and they still have the condition of a worthy ride, but I wouldn't recommend it. They don't fit horses anymore. The anatomy of a horse has changed so much that these saddles would only hurt a horse. But they still have their historical significance, certainly. And there's something about an empty saddle that makes you think about riders and think about the animals that they were on the back. So many of these saddles were used for decades and decades and decades. I've got one over here. It was used for 100 years. This was built in the 1870s. It's a meaty one. And it was bought from a man that was riding it in 1983 on the Mogollon Rim by a friend of mine named Roger Miller. And Roger demanded that I buy this from him one day, and I did. And he said, this is a very important saddle, and I didn't know how important it was at that point. And then I realized what it was. One day I saw a Meany catalog and recognized that this was, in fact, one of the early Meany saddles. And so this is, here's a piece that was used for 100 years. And there's a few here that were used easily for 70 years or more. And that's a longevity that we're not accustomed to getting from our tools, and certainly something that was stressed as much as these were.
So is this a Western saddle used in a ranch?
Yeah, this would be a cattle driving saddle. This would be heavy horseback work. They have two rings on here to strap down the animal. The saddles used for working horses are much lighter. They only have one ring generally, so they would be used for lighter activity. Here's a contemporary, or at least 1930s, horse breaking saddle, and this one, it's got swells in it. That's meant to assist the rider to stay in while he's being bucked all over the place. The stirrups that I had that originally came with this, I took off, and they're just in my stirrup collection right now. But they're so big and massive, they would just crush the ribs of an animal if they were used with a violent motion, which they were. But this is made in Colorado, Fred Mueller. And it's got a nice little engraving, 4 hearts here on the back. And that took my attention. It's And it's got a nickel silver horn. Kind of a nice answer to what do you do with a horn so it doesn't get ripped to shreds when you use it. And for a number of years, those are pretty fashionable.
5 minutes, we're done.
All right.